Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. It's Jamar from Vegas Scents, and in this video I'm giving you all my final thoughts on two coffee scents that I actually picked up here recently. One from Paris Corner, which is Eternal Coffee, and the other being French Coffee by Rehab. All right. So if you're interested to know what I think about these two fragrances in terms of my final thoughts, then definitely stick around for the rest of the video. Also, anyone brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And also anyone watching, go ahead and leave a like and a comment below, all right? So just to get straight into this video, man, simply put, if I would have to choose one of these two, which I actually am only gonna keep one of these two fragrances, I would have to go with the Eternal Coffee by Paris Corner. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the Eternal Coffee is a better, coffee scent than what French Coffee is. I think both of these, they give you a sort of realistic, take on the note of coffee. So you have that going for both of these fragrances, but at least for me, there's a little bit more sort of going on in the Eternal Coffee. I think that this is a more sort of complex type of scent. It is slightly feminine leaning due to the fact that, it has more of sort of like a sweeter, more creamier, lactonic sort of, feel to the fragrance. Whereas with the French Coffee, this is pretty much just like a dark cup of coffee, no cream, no sugar, and it's almost also as if you added in like some cacao powder in this particular fragrance as well. So it's just like really dark, really rich. And I mean, I guess you could say I'm not like the hugest fan of, coffee fragrances. I don't really have a lot in my collection. But if I were to choose one, it would definitely, at least for me, be the Eternal Coffee. Now, in terms of the performance for both of these, the performance is about the same, I would say, for the most part. With the French Coffee, I get a total longevity of about 6.5 or so hours. With the Eternal Coffee, I would say I probably get about 7 to 7.5 or so. So a little bit better with the Eternal Coffee. In terms of like the projection and sillage, the French Coffee, I would say, is a little bit louder, at least in like the first hour or so of the opening sprays between these two. But I would say the Eternal Coffee, the projection lasts a little bit longer than what the French Coffee does. So this one, I would say it probably projects for like a good hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes or so, whereas this one only projects for about an hour. And in terms of sillage, the sillage, I would say, is a little bit better on the Eternal Coffee than what it is on the French Coffee. The French Coffee, for the most part, after like that hour or so, is like a dead skin scent pretty much. And I mean, at least off of me, it just doesn't really push out really that much or really hang in the air. This is just a really sort of close skin scent that you almost kind of forget about for the most part, unless you're like right up on your skin. This, like I said, it does a little bit better in terms of just, overall projection and sillage, all right? And also in longevity as well. So in terms of when I would wear these fragrances, I think that, these both are going to kind of fit into like the same sort of, seasons and scenarios and stuff like that. I would say that these are good for like probably fall, winter, and early spring. Wouldn't necessarily reach for these in like late spring or the summertime. And definitely not this one. I would say you could maybe, I guess, get away with this one more so in those times of the year. Maybe if you go a little bit lighter on the sprays, because this does have more of sort of like a lighter, creamier, I would say maybe a little bit more aromatic sort of, texture to it. whereas this one is slightly thicker and it's darker, you know. So I wouldn't recommend wearing this one when it's warm outside, but you know, obviously, you know, do whatever you feel. But yeah, man, overall, like I said, I'm only going to keep one of these two fragrances, and I think at this point it's going to be the Eternal Coffee. This is just, in terms of the overall smell, I would say this is going to be a little bit less linear than what the French Coffee is. For the most part, what you get when you initially spray this one on is what you're going to get for the entire life of the fragrance. So it kind of makes it a little boring as well. Whereas with this one, you know, you do have sort of like like the initial spray that you get with this, I would say is not going to be necessarily what you're going to get with the entire, you know, duration of the fragrance. The initial opening is kind of short-lived. It's like a really nice sort of latte, sort of spiced coffee type of, you know, feel to it. And then as this starts to dry down, it starts to become, I would say, a lot more creamier. You start to get kind of like this coconut cream sort of, you know, note from the fragrance. And then pretty much in the base, it almost starts to become sort of vanillic. There is no vanilla listed in the note breakdown, but I believe it's like a mixture of like the tonka bean, the creamy notes, and the sugar that are in this particular fragrance. So overall, man, I do prefer the Eternal Coffee by Paris Corner over the Al Rehab French Coffee. But again, I think it just comes down to personal preference in terms of what you like. Like I said, this one is going to be a little bit more sort of feminine leaning. I do still think that this is a unisex scent as well as this one, but this I would say is more so just straight down the middle unisex, whereas this is going to be feminine leaning sort of unisex. All right, so definitely, man, I would say check these two out if you like coffee notes and fragrances in general. Definitely check these two both out. I want to say these go for about the same price. I was able to pick this particular fragrance up on Aroma Concepts for $37. And I believe I probably picked this one up from the Oud store for like $40. So they're around the same price for the most part. This is going to be a 100 ml bottle. This is, I believe, a 80 ml bottle, or 85 ml is what this one is. So this is going to give you slightly less juice, but like I said, at least to me, I find this to be a little bit more interesting of a scent, at least for me. All right. So if I'm going to give these an overall rating, at least for me, I would say this is like a 6.5 out of 10. I would have to give this one like a 7.5 out of 10. All right. So let me know what you all think about these two fragrances. Have you all smelled French Coffee by Al Rehab, and have you also smelled Eternal Coffee by Paris Corner? All right. So let me know in the comments, man. And once again, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and also leave a like and a comment below. All right. So once again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents, and I'll see you on the next video.